To talk to you about a trending topic of the day could be a range of things that you'd want to know as an entrepreneur. It could be anything from latest changes in legislation to the kind of networking opportunities you could investigate for yourselves and your businesses, or something that's been worrying you is on your mind as an entrepreneur. But today particularly, we're going to investigate an organization that allows female entrepreneurs to network with one another. And it's probably one of South Africa's largest ones. We've got the president of the KZN chapter in studio, and I'm very pleased to invite her and interview her today. Mpume Langa is the first African woman to be a head of private banking at ABSA. She's currently the chairperson of the Businesswomen's Association KZN, and she was nominated as a finalist in the Businesswomen's Association's Regional Business Awards in 2011, was it, Mpume?
Yes.
2011. Today she will be talking to us about the Businesswomen's Association, and that's a national organization. Welcome to Biz Today.
Well, thank you, Naz. Welcome. Thank you for having me here today, and hi to the viewers.
It's wonderful to get you in studio. You're quite a prominent figure and thought leader, I would say, in the entrepreneurial space. So it's great to have you here. So before we start talking about the BWA, it's always nice to know the person behind the role and the figure. Tell us a bit about Mpume Langa.
Well, Mpume Langa is a girl from Guamashu Township. I grew up there. I was born there, grew up there.
Yeah.
And I still live in Durban. I haven't left the provinces yet, or the city still.
You have a lot of love for the 031, I see.
I do love my 031. I'm very proud of it. I'm married to a wonderful man in Dabo, who's an entrepreneur and architect, and I've got 2 children. My daughter is 8 years old, my son is 6 years old. And the one thing for me that makes me realize or like what I do, I love banking. It's what pays me to really earn my living. But my bigger passion is empowering people out there to become business people. Our country needs businesses to grow. Government can't do this by itself unless we come and join in other people as well.
And that brings me to my next question, is how you became the president or the chairperson of the Businesswomen's Association KZN.
Well, the chairperson, it all began really with the nomination for the RBA, the Regional Business Achiever Awards, which we have every year, by the way, where we honor and celebrate women who are achieving business. We have different categories. We have in government, we have corporate sector, we've got businesses, emerging businesses as well. So in that space, women come in, go through a very intense interview processes. They present their profile, who they are, what they do. They get interviewed by the judges, a panel of judges, over a very half an hour, I would say, interview. After that, we then decide who the winners will be. And I went through the process. And I found that after that, when you get to realize what BWA does, what it's about, you ask yourself, why aren't I in it? And that's how I joined.
And what is the organization about? Because I think people have various ideas about networking organizations. Sometimes it can seem intimidating. But the BWA has been around for a long time. They have a solid name in the South African entrepreneurial field. What is it about?
Well, it's quite true. It's been around for almost 30 years. It's our 30th this year, actually.
30 years?
That's how long it's been around for. And it started before I could even really be in high school, if I could put it like that. And it's all about women coming together to share ideas, to network. And not to network just to make friends, but to network in terms of trying to really help start up businesses, grow your businesses, find a mentor, find a mentee, find a space where you can come as a woman and say, I want to be in business. I don't know how to start. How do you help me start? We'll say to you, go meet that lady who was in your position 5 years ago. Go speak to her and see how you can really impart information. From that, the whole thing grew. We've now grown beyond the networking part. We have the awards which we have every year. And these awards are held regionally. Each region has their own awards every year. Then we have the national awards, which is Boya, which is where we honor the bigger businesses across the country. Over and above that, we have other smaller programs where we do mentorships and skills development as well. So women, we find that in our women's leadership centers, which we had recently, and Sasol is our biggest sponsor, obviously, on that one, we realized that SMEs need bigger support. And they have ideas, good business plans, but they never know how to go out there and make it work. How do I start my idea? How do I kickstart my idea? So what I find is that they need a hand-holding process almost to say that, hey, I've been here in your journey before. Let me show you how I did it. And you know, there's a whole belief that women don't support each other. I disagree. Women do. And you learn better from somebody who's been through your journey as well. And we love real life stories. So this platform allows us to share our real life stories. Over and above that, we don't just end there. We continue then and find and do expos where we invite all funding structures, your NEFs, your IDCs, where they come in and share with our members what they do, how they do it, how they can assist them.
Yeah.
We then partner with the government bodies as well, where we say, okay, there's a trade mission going to Ghana. If we want to export to Ghana, come and see how it's done. Go along with them. We do linkages for those women requiring those kind of skills as well.
Yeah.
Over and above that, we do CSI projects where we go out there and run different programs. And I'll give you some good examples of what we did this year. In August, we launched our first boys program. Yes. You wonder why we're looking at boys? Women are empowered. They know what they want. Who will they marry? Will the men they'll marry be empowered to support them in their growth and their dreams? If the men are unequipped to support these powerful women, what becomes of the future of our country in particular? So men must also be mentored and supported to understand what a great woman requires and it's all about. So we got these 50 boys who came through from different schools in the province. And this ran for a full day workshops where we took them through life skills, peer pressure issues, savings and investments, how to package an idea, how to dress properly.
Incredible.
Just basic etiquettes, so the men can understand as well what's required of them in business. So they, between the ages of 12 and 18 was a good spread of the boys on that day. Over and above that, we then ran we have this every year, it's Business Women of Tomorrow, where we get all the matric girls in the province of KZN.
Yeah.
They come through for a full day. We go to Coastlands Hotel in Mpume Langa. We had 450 girls this year. These girls come through for the day. It's a workshop session as well there, where they must submit an essay on a different topic. We give a topic every year. The essay gets read and it gets marked on the day. So we have all these people who are coming to work on the day. We have the markers marking the 500 essays that have been submitted. We have the teachers in a different room, about 120 we had this year, where they get a full workshop on skills for them.
Yeah.
Then the bigger focus is on these matric girls that are being taken through life skills. From how to survive alcoholism, drug abuse, rape, how to study for your exams, how to dress for success, how to save, and how to really craft your dream. And then we then award bursaries at the end of the program. So these, again, I must mention to you, all BWA people who are doing all this work are volunteers. We don't get paid to be here. It's done to really make a difference in the country. So these girls end the day off, the top 10 of the girls get the bursaries, the laptops or tablets and big goodie bags from our sponsors. And our sponsors, I'm thankful to them for that. It is Sasol, obviously, from national perspective, Unilever, Women of Africa, Fuel and Oils, Absa Bank. We have ITC, biggest sponsor there, and the ICC. So those really, they help us really make this happen in Durban.
Yeah.
But each branch or each region has their own sponsors localized as well, who help them implement these programs across the country. Now, over and above that, we don't even end there.
Yeah.
We go on and say, what do women require? What skills are they looking for? They say to us, I'm looking to understand how to market my business on social media platforms. We have an event coming up now next month, purely on that, how to design a web page, how to use Facebook and Twitter to market a business, and Instagram. They will come bring their tablets on the day, and we take them through this process step by step. So now they take this skill, which is a soft skill, but it's key to making sure your business goes and succeeds and grows overall. Right. So we try and really speak to our members, understanding what are they requiring right now, because trends change. You can't stay the same every time. It must be done in the way that members feel fit and what they require at the current moment as well.
And what's incredible about the activities you talked about with the organization, because you've explored that quite comprehensively. It's not just to empower women specifically. It's almost like, a general where you come to a meeting, you're able to sit and talk about your challenges, but you've taken it way beyond that, where you're actually targeting the causes that we can become invested in, so that as we grow as business owners, we also give back to the community.
Yes.
And I really like the two examples, or the two projects you've got with boys and girls particularly. And the one about building men is so critical, or boys into men.
Yes.
Because this is very true. If we as successful women are going to partner with someone, it should be with someone who can support that journey, and in turn we support them equally so. So that's fantastic work you're doing, and I'm sure that it's very fulfilling work for the members as well.
Yes, it is. The one thing I want to mention though as well that we've done this year, we do this periodically, every 2 or 3 years. It's a BWA leadership census. Sasol is a sponsor for this year's census, where we do a survey, a complete survey.
And some of the findings of that census?
The findings, for me, what stands out the most is that we've been on this women empowerment cause for many, many years, for the last 20 years in the country.
That's right.
And to look at the progress we're making in the top positions, in companies, in government entities, in business, we still are not very much represented. we still lag way behind. So we seem to go in August month, we go say women empowerment. August ends, it ends there. It should never end there. We need to make the inroads. God created men and women because for a reason. We bring in two different skills to a business, to a home, to wherever we are as people. We cannot have business only run by one gender alone. We must have gender parity wherever we are in life. Because if you look at the numbers of women in the country, we are more than men, just by 1%. But if you look at who is running businesses, men are and not women. Now, how do we then change this picture to ensure that women are more represented in the space as well? And that's our journey and our focus as an organization to drive that.
And in being able to drive that particular, I think it's your core goal that you have. You're saying that we want to have women actively or significantly represented in our economic environment. Because as you say, we have been doing so much of work on this particular subject, but still we're not seeing the vital differences for women's representation or female representation, especially in executive management and the boards across the country. Some of your stakeholders that you're working with, Sasol was one of them on the leadership sensors. The key stakeholders that you work with, and how do they help the organization? Well,
Sasol, without them, wouldn't have had this leadership sensors done at all, because the money came from them. And they support women empowerment, true they do. And the leader, Nolisa Fagute, is really behind BWA's vision as well. And through them, we've been able to really conduct a good census that's accurate as well. And we unpacked each area of the sector or the sector of the economy, for instance, the government sector. We unpacked the corporate, the government-owned entities. We unpacked entrepreneurs as well. And for us to unpack that, it's important to understand what makes those women in those areas do it better. And one thing we saw is that women tend to, I think in our journey in life, we become wiser, if I can put it like that. We become mothers, we become wives. We get to a point where we say, I want a better work-life balance, where I can be more flexible and still be able to then just earn enough to just survive. And that is becoming a big stumbling block for us, because we find women progressing in their careers in corporates. I mean in corporates as well. In corporates, to progress, we get to a point where you say, my kids are getting older, they need more of me. My husband is very busy traveling the world doing his business. I must be more at home. I leave my job. Then I try and do a small business to just get enough money to just earn my living every day. That's affecting the numbers that are going up the ladder, because women are falling off to become startups. And look at the bigger businesses as well. Where are the women businesses are sitting? They remain startups for longer. And the corporations are really owned by mainly the male gender. How do we then get women to become big business owners too? And there is now a big gap for us to close, to say, women, don't just dream smaller, dream bigger. You can still achieve the life you want. Be a mother, be a wife, and still be a business entity or a business owner, a large business owner as well. We've got a few of them in our board, in our membership base as well, that have shown us it's possible. And we must keep on doing that, so they can realize that I don't have to end up with a startup behind my house or the little small room in the bedroom of my house. I can become big as well. Let's get women more involved in bigger businesses to make a difference. Because as you know, if we empower a woman, we feed the whole nation as well. If we want to become bigger business owners, I believe we'll see much more job creation happening every day and less layoffs coming through.
And truly, I think joining an organization of the stature, the BWA, is not just to meet with a certain group once a month or however often the frequency of that meetings is, but to really be able to identify your goals, short, long, medium and long-term goals, and your place in society and how you're contributing to that particular space. But also what's critical for me, and the point you just raised now, is that gap is being maintained, number one, by women not believing enough in the fact that they could become big business owners. And on the other side, you've got that the traditional corporate idea of allowing women into the boardroom is that she's got to maintain the household, as it were. There's a big debate around that. We can have a major conversation around it.
That is so true. And that goes to how we sell ourselves as women. Today we had a discussion with some of my members. We were saying that, when a woman is given a role to, okay, this vacancy of a CEO, do you want to take it as a woman and say, I don't think I'm ready? We tend to want to do things when everything is perfect. In life, there is no perfection. You can never be perfect in anything that you do. And somehow women seem to believe this a lot. And they always say, you never hear a man say a word perfect, because they know it doesn't exist. You cannot achieve that state, but we are obsessed with it. For me to get to my next role, I must be ready, fully ready to then go and do that job. we've got to change our mindsets. We've got to believe that I've got the skills. I can do this job. If I don't know how to, I'll go and learn it. And I'll have support and employ the best people to support me to make this happen. And I find that there's more of that required still when it comes to women, so they can believe more in themselves as people. Over and above that, we tend to say, you know what, their role is too senior, there's too much travel, I won't be home enough. You weigh the pros and cons for your family a lot and choose based on that. But again, I say to us, why not? If you have a dream, chase your dream, live your dream. BizToday will help you achieve your dream. We are about that. There's nothing to fear. We are allowed to have dreams as women. We are allowed to become the leaders as women as well. And why must we leave it only to be a leader at home? You can be leader beyond your home as well. Just go out there and just make it work.
And it would seem also that the then networking organizations like the BWA not only serve as a place for you to go and meet other entrepreneurs to share your challenges so that you don't feel so alone, but also as a way of incredible self-development or personal development.
Yes.
Because that's what true entrepreneurs do, right? The personal development is key to growing not only their businesses, but everybody else around them.
That is
so
true.
Another important thing that I wanted to ask you about is, it's interesting to see a networking organization like yours invest in something like leadership census. I'm coming back to that point.
Yes.
And you had Cecil on board to help you with that.
Yes.
Because knowledge, I think the knowledge economy is starting to grow, especially with the research around us.
Oh, yes, it is.
And so that data is very, very important for you to be able to analyze the way forward for entrepreneurs.
That is so true. And it's been running for for about 11 years now. First, the 2004, we had the first census done. And we do it every 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's been going ever since. So there is really a need for that. Somebody's got to track our progress. If we don't track as women ourselves, then how do we know what we're doing is really working or not working?
Yeah.
And for me to see that we, as women, we're on this path for a longer journey, for a longer period, but we are not going back and saying, it's not working. Come on, CEO, employ more women. We don't do that. We must do more of that. And the census is reminding us that go back, look at the picture, at the snapshot. It's not changing. Go back and do something about changing that picture to make it different.
That's absolutely right. I think to sort of come towards the end of what's been a rather interesting conversation and to wrap up, what would you say to aspiring entrepreneurs, particularly female entrepreneurs, and bearing in mind the wonderful, diverse economy and the environment that we live in, which is South Africa? There's no better place to run a business. But what would you say to entrepreneurs?
We're in a very beautiful country that requires resources and goods and services provided to it for its citizens and globally as well. And if you want to be in business, there is no better time than now to go in and do something. The country cannot grow economically without all of us creating jobs. Government can't remain to be as the largest employer as it is right now. We've got to create jobs ourselves to sustain them.
Should we be afraid of the highly weakened rand in light of being entrepreneurs?
You know what? For me, that speaks volumes. The EU has just told us to really look at our brand as a country. Let's clean our country's image outside of the world, because to attract investors to come in, they must trust that we can really help them become profitable. If they can't trust us with their investments, how do we then grow? Over and above that, we need to look at how are we growing entrepreneurs. Kids go to school, they come out becoming employees. That has to stop. We've got to raise entrepreneurs for the country to move forward. And BWA is driving purely that every child or any person who is in this room as it is right now can create a job. You can create a job tomorrow. The more we do that, the country can grow economically as well.
Fantastic. It was just so enlightening speaking to you today on Biz Today, and I'm really glad we got you on the show. Mpume, it's wonderful to have you here, and please join us again on Biz Today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Excellent. That was Mpume Langa, the head of private banking at ABSA. And I mean, she's a real example, and also rather the president of Business Women's Association KZN, which is a national organization. It's powered by many key stakeholders. Please go and find them online. It's BWA, Business Women's Association. But what I really love is that Mpume herself is an excellent example of the kind of mentors that are available at the organization. If you needed any more reason or encouragement to go and join an organization, just look at the mentors that the organization themselves hold who are driving this kind of change forward. It's necessary for us as entrepreneurs to know this, to join these types of organizations and to drive particular change in our country itself, because entrepreneurship is truly the answer to a lot of our problems in the country, and also for our young people to know that they have something of value to offer. So when we come back, those were two excellent interviews that we had, and talking to Mpume really fired me up today. When we come back, we'll be doing a bit of a wrap up, and that's our show for today. We talked a bit about e-learning on the show today. And remember that on one of our last episodes, we told you about two very interesting online learning platforms. One of them is called udemy.com. That's UDEMY. And the details are coming up on screen so you can check that out. But it's udemy.com. And you can also investigate coursera.com. These two learning platforms offer free courses online, and they're offered by some of the world's leading institutions. So you know you've got very credible people teaching you, and you can get certification for that as well. So it's a great way for you to learn, upskill yourselves, and also build that LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is a great way for you to network with other entrepreneurs. And one more thing before we leave you. If you are a young business or any type of business, and know that most businesses register on supplier databases, this is important for you to have your business on a particular supplier database with any kind of government organization, be it local, provincial, or national. You would normally have to go to a particular government office and register on their supplier database. Well, coming up next year, that will no longer be the case. There's something called the Central Supplier Database, and as of April 2016, this is going to go live. So you will have to go just to register once to one central supplier database, where you can be able to administer your services to any government department across the board. So you just have to register once, no headache anymore afterwards, where you have to go to 100 government departments and to do a registration across the board, having to take your BE certification or your tax clearance. This is a one-stop shop. You register once. In order to do that, you can go to csd.org.za. I think it's actually .gov.za. csd.gov.za. But if that address doesn't work for you when you type it in, go and please Google Central Supplier Database. And that's with the South African government. It's an amazing initiative. Please take advantage of it. Get in there early, register your business, and put in the right keywords also about what kind of supplier you are. So I think that's great. Government is now streamlining their services in order to enable entrepreneurs to trade better with them, and also to be able to have one central point where they get their payments from. We know that entrepreneurs struggle in the country when doing business with government sometimes, because they often complain that payment is very late. And we know that cash flow is the real lifeblood of your business. So visit that. It's CSD, or the Central Supplier Database. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Join us next week when we profile yet another successful entrepreneur. And also remember that if you missed any of our shows on Biz Today, you can join me on Radio Al Ansar for How to Make It in South Africa. It's every Tuesday evening at 9:15 Central African Time. I hope you're able to join us. You can live stream on www.alansar.co.za. From me, goodbye.